Your presence speaks louder than words, and how you carry yourself can make people notice and respect you without saying a thing. In this video, you'll learn practical habits that make you silently attractive, showing confidence, discipline, and charm in every interaction. From controlling your reactions to speaking with intention, maintaining steady posture, and setting boundaries calmly, each habit builds a stronger, more magnetic version of yourself. You'll discover how small actions, subtle grooming, and thoughtful communication can transform your social presence and influence how others perceive you. By the end of this video, you'll have actionable steps to apply immediately in your daily life, helping you develop self-respect, confidence, and lasting impact in personal and professional settings. Stick with Audiobook Shift, absorb these practical insights, and take control of the way you show up every day. Subscribe now for more content that empowers real transformation. Number 1. Control reactions. Speak with intention. There is quiet power in measured silence and deliberate speech. When reactions are controlled and words are chosen with intention, presence becomes magnetic. This is not about pretending to be calm or hiding emotions. It is about practicing a steady inner authority that others sense before any sentence is finished. The body will reveal truth long before the mouth speaks. Breath speeds, jaw tightens, shoulders rise, and learning to read and redirect those signals is the first skill. Start by noticing the physical signs that precede a reaction. A quickened heartbeat, a hot flush in the face, hands that clench. Those sensations are useful data, not enemies. Naming them in the moment takes away some of their power. A simple inward note, anger, anxiety, surprise, creates a tiny distance between impulse and response. That space is where choice exists. Action begins with attention. Build a short ritual that becomes automatic. Notice the sensation. Take one slow breath into the belly, exhale fully, and count silently to 3. The breath lengthens the gap between stimulus and speech, which is where intention lives. Practicing this raises the probability of responding rather than reacting. In real conversations, the pause feels brief to others, but can radically alter the outcome. Use that pause to ask one internal question. What does dignity demand here? Answering with a value, calm, clarity, respect, shifts the tone of what follows. This is not manipulation. It is mastery of the self. Words matter more than many believe. A measured voice communicates confidence in dozens of subtle ways: cadence, volume, and word choice. Avoid the rush to fill silence. Speaking slowly lowers the pitch and gives the impression of control. Speaking a little softer forces listeners to lean in, creating an intimate space around what is said. Replace long, defensive sentences with short, clear phrases. Instead of reacting with a flurry, "Why would you even say that? That is not fair, and you are out of line." Use a single, calm line. "That came across differently than intended." That sentence does 3 things. It signals awareness, avoids escalation, and invites clarification. Practice crafting 3 such lines for common triggers in your life: work critiques, personal criticism, interruptions, and rehearse them until they feel natural. Naming emotions aloud when appropriate is a powerful tool. Saying, "I feel frustrated right now," removes mystery and reduces the chance of escalation. It signals ownership. Choose I statements over accusatory you statements. "I felt unheard when that happened" is less likely to ignite defensiveness than "you ignored me." This is not weakness. It is precision. Controlled speech that names internal states models emotional responsibility and encourages others to mirror that behavior. It elevates conversation from reaction to resolution. A practical habit to install is a pre-speech checklist. Before responding in any charged situation, quickly run through 3 items. Breathe. Name the goal. Choose a tone. Breathe anchors the body. Naming the goal reminds the mind what outcome is desired. Comfort, clarity, boundary enforcement, information. Choosing a tone. Firm, curious, neutral. Adjust the volume and pace before words escape. Over time, this checklist becomes automatic, and conversations bend toward the outcomes you value. Silence itself is a tool and an attractive one. There is art in refusing to pile words on top of words. When someone tries to provoke, A measured silence reframes power. Silence exposes thoughtfulness. Rapid retorts betray reactivity. Cultivate an economy of speech. Fewer words, greater impact. Practice responding in 3 sentences or fewer. Keep the first sentence to name the situation, the second to state your position or feeling, and the third to indicate the next step or boundary. That structure keeps communication clear and reduces drama. It also protects energy. Speech can be draining, and conserving verbal energy is a form of self-respect. Daily exercises are essential. Begin with conscious breathing 3 times a day for 5 minutes. Sit upright, feel the connection of the feet to the ground. Notice the weight of the chest, and breathe slowly into the belly. During each session, imagine emotionally triggering scenarios but do not react. Observe. Gradually introduce vocal practice. Read a paragraph aloud from a book, slowing intentionally and focusing on articulation and breath. Record voice notes of yourself speaking about simple topics for 1 minute. Play them back and note pacing, pitch, and filler words. Most people do not realize how much like or clipped sentences dilute presence. Remove 1 filler word at a time. The goal is not perfection, but steady refinement. Role play is a powerful rehearsal method. Identify 2 people you trust and run 3 brief scenarios: workplace, criticism, a boundary violation with a friend, and a romantic disagreement. Practice the pre-speech checklist every time. Have your partner push for a reaction. Over time, the body learns that the pause is safe and that words can be chosen deliberately. This reduces the adrenaline spike in live situations and preserves clarity. Boundaries and controlled speech go hand in hand. When setting a boundary, speak with the calmness that makes your words hard to argue with. Use direct phrases. I cannot discuss this now. I will not accept that tone, or I need time before answering. Pair words with a steady posture. Feet planted, shoulders relaxed, jaw unclenched. The posture signals that the words are anchored by conviction, not whim. Consistency is critical. Each time a boundary is enforced calmly, internal confidence grows and others learn to respect the line. The attractiveness of a person who protects their inner life without theatrics is powerful. Language that invites rather than attacks changes social rhythm. When offering feedback, ask a clarifying question first. Can I share an observation? If permission is not granted, reframe. When you do X, I notice Y. This method decreases defensiveness and increases the odds of productive change. In groups, practice concise contributions. Rather than trying to dominate conversation, aim to add 1 clear point and then stop. Others will remember the point because it was uncluttered. The habit of concise input is magnetic because it signals thoughtfulness and respect for others' time. There will be moments of failure. There will be times when reactions slip and the old reflexes return. Those moments are not defeat but feedback. After any interaction where control was lost, perform a short review. Ask what triggered the reaction, what physical signs appeared first, and what could be done differently next time. Write a 1-sentence plan and repeat it to yourself before sleep. Change occurs in small, repeated acts. Think of this work like training muscles. Occasional failure is part of building strength. Treat those failures with curiosity and firmness. Acknowledge the mistake, make a clear correction if needed, and move forward without self-judgment. Practical language to practice now. 3 phrases that calm escalation and create clarity. I want to understand more. Pause. I need a moment. That felt disrespectful. I will address it later. Use these regularly until they are automatic. The first signals curiosity rather than accusation. The second protects presence. The third preserves boundaries and allows time for composure. Carry these lines like tools in a pocket, ready when needed. The senses are allies. Notice how the room smells, the temperature on the skin, the texture of a chair beneath. These small anchors pull attention out of the storm of emotion and back into the body. In social settings, fixate on concrete sensory details when a conversation heats up. The weight of a mug, the pattern on the wall, the hum of the air. Those details interrupt escalating narratives and ground the mind. This practice is not avoidance, it is strategic regulation. Silence, measured words, and controlled reactions attract because they communicate inner strength without claiming it. This is a different kind of confidence, one that is earned through discipline rather than assumed by loudness. Daily attention to breath, rehearsal of concise speech, naming and owning emotions, and repairing missteps build a temperament that people find magnetic. The work is steady and sometimes slow, but the payoff is profound. More deliberate influence, deeper relationships, and a sense of self that does not hinge on the opinions of others. Begin today by noticing one reactive pattern and practicing the pause for 5 repetitions. Use the pre-speech checklist before one important conversation this week. Speak in 3 sentences twice a day. Practice the 3 calming phrases until they become second nature. Progress will be incremental, but the character that develops will be unmistakable. Over months, the habits compound. A quieter voice will carry further. A steady presence will open doors that noise cannot. That is the secret of silent attractiveness. Mastery of self expressed through intentional speech and thoughtful restraint. Number 2, hold eye contact without pressure. The power of the eyes is often underestimated. Eyes are not just tools for seeing. They are instruments of connection, influence, and silent communication. Holding eye contact is one of the simplest ways to express confidence, authenticity, and attentiveness, yet it is one of the hardest skills to master. The trick is not to stare or force a reaction, but to engage naturally and calmly. Eye contact without pressure demonstrates self-assurance and emotional equilibrium. It tells others without words that you are present, grounded, and fully engaged in the moment. The first step is understanding the physiology behind eye contact. Our eyes react to emotions before our mouths or bodies do. They can convey curiosity, kindness, authority, or intimidation without any spoken word. Recognizing this allows you to manage how your gaze communicates. A steady gaze does not have to be unblinking or robotic. Instead, it can be soft yet direct, holding attention without triggering discomfort. Practice begins by simply observing people in everyday interactions. Notice how long they maintain gaze, the flickers of expression in the eyes, and the subtle shifts in attention. These observations create an awareness of what feels natural versus forced. Breathing plays a crucial role in maintaining calm eye contact. When the body is tense, the gaze becomes sharp, often interpreted as aggression. To counter this, inhale deeply into the diaphragm, relax the shoulders, and allow the eyes to soften. Breathing slows the heartbeat, steadies the hands, and gives the mind a calm center. Eye contact is more effective when it is paired with an internal state of composure, rather than external effort. The eyes then reflect a sense of quiet authority, rather than strain or anxiety. Timing and rhythm are essential. Holding eye contact is not about continuous staring. Humans naturally break gaze, looking away briefly before returning. This rhythm mirrors natural conversation and keeps interactions comfortable. Aim to maintain eye contact for 2 to 5 seconds at a time, long enough to convey engagement, but not so long that it becomes uncomfortable. When combined with subtle micro-expressions, raising eyebrows, a gentle smile, or a slight nod, eye contact becomes dynamic rather than static. These subtle cues reinforce presence without overwhelming the other person. Understanding context is equally important. Eye contact in a casual conversation differs from a professional meeting, a lecture, or an intimate exchange. In a work setting, maintain a confident yet approachable gaze. When giving instructions or feedback, lock in attention long enough to emphasize points, but break contact naturally to avoid intimidation. In personal relationships, soft eye contact can deepen trust and convey empathy. The intensity, duration, and frequency of gaze should always be tuned to the social environment and emotional tone of the interaction. Emotional intelligence enhances the skill further. Effective eye contact is not about asserting dominance, but about reading and responding to the other person's energy. Notice micro movements, pupils dilating, slight glances away, or changes in posture. These cues inform how to adjust your gaze. For example, if someone looks anxious, soften your eyes and ease off direct contact slightly, creating reassurance rather than pressure. If they are engaged and confident, maintaining steady eye contact reinforces connection. Developing this sensitivity requires conscious practice and reflection. Daily exercises can embed these habits into your social presence. Begin with self-observation in the mirror. Practice holding your gaze at your reflection for 10 seconds, focusing on keeping it relaxed and calm. Next, interact with familiar people, friends, family, colleagues, intentionally maintaining eye contact for 2 to 5 seconds, observing the response. Over time, gradually expand to less familiar acquaintances. Track how the duration, softness, and rhythm affect the interaction. Consistency builds muscle memory and integrates the behavior naturally. Another key principle is pairing eye contact with presence in the body. Posture, breathing, and facial expressions all complement gaze. Leaning slightly forward communicates interest, while leaning back can convey ease. Relaxed hands and an open chest signal receptivity. A subtle smile or slight eyebrow lift can punctuate attention without words. When these physical cues align with steady eye contact, they produce a silent language that is magnetic, approachable, and authoritative simultaneously. One often overlooked aspect is self-awareness of internal dialogue during eye contact. The mind tends to overthink, am I staring too long, or do they feel uncomfortable? Such thoughts shift focus from the interaction to internal anxiety. Instead, anchor attention on understanding the person in front of you. Notice their tone, expressions, and the content of their words. This shift transforms eye contact from a performance into genuine connection. Authenticity is always more attractive than contrived effort. Practical strategies to integrate eye contact without pressure include scanning rather than staring. Allow the gaze to shift gently across the other person's face, eyes, mouth, and forehead, returning to the eyes naturally. This creates movement and prevents the gaze from feeling rigid. Another technique is mirror gazing in conversation, subtly matching the rhythm of the other person's eye movement and expression. Mirroring creates unconscious rapport, a sense of being understood, and strengthens social bonds. Challenges will arise, particularly for those who naturally avoid eye contact due to shyness or social anxiety. Approach these gradually. Begin with brief interactions, such as greeting a cashier or speaking with a coworker, maintaining eye contact for just 1 or 2 seconds. Slowly extend duration as comfort grows. Pair this with controlled breathing and internal affirmation. I am present. I am calm. I am attentive. Over weeks, the body and mind learn that eye contact is safe, not threatening, and confidence solidifies. There is also the dynamic of multiple people. In group settings, effective eye contact spreads attention evenly. Shift gaze naturally between participants, pausing briefly on each person while listening. This demonstrates inclusivity, confidence, and awareness. Avoid locking on a single individual for too long, which can be interpreted as pressure. Balanced engagement makes presence felt without dominating, creating an aura of competence and approachability simultaneously. The long-term impact of mastering eye contact extends beyond social skills. It cultivates self-trust. When the eyes meet another's and composure is maintained, the internal belief in one's stability strengthens. Challenges, criticism, disagreement, or tension become easier to navigate because the body and mind are trained to remain grounded. Over time, this translates into other areas of life: interviews, leadership, negotiation, and personal relationships. The eyes become a reflection of inner mastery. Daily reflection amplifies progress. After significant interactions, recall moments of eye contact. Note what felt natural, what triggered discomfort, and what adjustments improved connection. Journaling these observations creates a feedback loop that accelerates learning. This reflection should be non-judgmental. Treat each interaction as data, not failure. Small, consistent adjustments compound into lasting transformation. Ultimately, holding eye contact without pressure is an expression of respect for both self and others. It signals that you are present, confident, and attentive. The skill is rooted in calmness, mindfulness, and emotional intelligence, not in forcing or manipulating. Each glance, sustained yet relaxed, communicates strength without aggression, interest without desperation, and attention without intrusion. Over time, this silent mastery becomes a foundational element of personal magnetism. Begin immediately. In your next conversation, hold the gaze for 3 deep breaths. Observe the effect on yourself and the other person. Adjust tone, posture, and micro-expression. Repeat consistently, extending duration gradually, while maintaining softness. Over weeks, this transforms not only how others perceive you, but also how you perceive yourself. Confidence, poise, and quiet authority emerge naturally when eyes speak the language of calm presence. This is the subtle art of connection, the magnetism of steady attention, and the foundation of silent attractiveness. Number 3. Move slower to show confidence. The pace at which a person moves carries far more meaning than most realize. Quick, jittery movements often communicate anxiety, impatience, or uncertainty, while deliberate, controlled motions signal confidence, clarity, and mastery over oneself. Moving slower is not about lethargy or inefficiency. It is a conscious expression of composure and presence. Every step, gesture, and action can radiate assurance when done with intention, creating a quiet magnetism that draws attention without demanding it. This principle applies not only to physical motion but also to speech, decision-making, and response timing. Slowness in action communicates that nothing is rushed, that control is held, and that the individual trusts their own pace. The first step in learning to move slower is awareness of natural habits. Observe yourself in daily routines. How quickly do you walk, reach for objects, or gesture during conversations? Many people underestimate the speed at which they move, often as a response to stress or the pressure to perform. Begin by simply noticing these patterns without judgment. Awareness alone provides the foundation for conscious adjustment. Once patterns are recognized, introduce micro-deliberations, intentionally pausing before standing, walking, or lifting something, just for a brief count of 2 or 3 seconds. These small interventions recalibrate your nervous system to accept slower movements as normal rather than forced. Breathing is integral to controlled movement. Rapid motion is often paired with shallow chest breathing, which signals tension to both the body and the mind. By focusing on slow, deep breaths, the body naturally adjusts its speed. Inhale through the nose for a count of 4, hold for a count of 2, and exhale fully through the mouth for a count of 6. As the breath slows, muscles release tension, steps lengthen naturally, and gestures take on a fluid, deliberate quality. Breathing anchors motion in a rhythm that communicates calmness, and practicing this consistently integrates slow, purposeful movement into daily life. Posture and alignment complement the principle of slow motion. Standing or walking upright, shoulders relaxed but back straight, and the head level conveys presence and stability. When movements are executed with proper posture, even small gestures carry more weight. For example, picking up a cup slowly, deliberately, with attention to how the body shifts, transforms an ordinary act into a subtle display of control. This approach reinforces the internal sense of authority because the mind registers that every action is deliberate rather than reactive. Each movement becomes a statement of self-possession. One practical application is in walking. Walking slower than the crowd or slower than the natural urge creates a perception of confidence. It signals that there is no need to rush, that the individual is not governed by external pressures. Begin with short walks, intentionally slowing steps, and noticing the rhythm of the feet hitting the ground. Over time, this deliberate pacing becomes second nature. Walking in this manner also allows the eyes and mind to absorb surroundings more fully, enhancing situational awareness and creating a grounded, present demeanor that is naturally attractive. Gestures during conversation also benefit from measured pacing. Rapid hand movements or nervous fidgeting dilute credibility and convey tension. Replace hurried gestures with controlled, purposeful ones. When emphasizing a point, lift a hand slowly, hold for a moment, and lower it deliberately. If leaning forward to engage, do so at a calm pace rather than abruptly. This slow modulation of motion not only communicates confidence, but also encourages the listener to slow down and absorb what is being said. Actions become synchronized with words, reinforcing clarity and authority. Decision-making benefits equally from this principle. People who rush responses often appear reactive, rather than composed, Taking a brief pause before answering, even a moment to inhale deeply and gather thoughts, demonstrates confidence in judgment. Others perceive the slow, deliberate consideration as evidence of competence and self-control. This is particularly effective in professional settings or tense conversation. By moving mentally at a controlled pace, choices carry weight, and the individual avoids the pitfalls of impulsive reaction that erodes credibility. Slow motion also influences micro moments, such as handling objects, turning to face someone, or sitting down. The simple act of sitting in a chair with a steady, deliberate motion commands attention. Sliding into a seat too quickly signals restlessness, whereas lowering oneself with control conveys self-assurance. Similarly, extending a hand for a handshake in a slow, confident manner creates a tactile impression of stability. Small actions, repeated consistently, accumulate into a perception of poise and deliberate presence. Physical exercises reinforce this principle. Practices, such as Tai Chi, yoga, or controlled strength training, cultivate body awareness and the ability to move with intention. During these exercises, attention is given to every joint, every muscle, every step, and every breath. This translates directly to daily life. When body movements are controlled in training, they become natural in social and professional environments. The mind learns to appreciate the effect of deliberate pacing, internalizing the message that confidence is reflected in motion, not speed. Awareness of the psychological impact of moving slower is essential. Others respond to calm pacing with attention and respect. People unconsciously mirror the energy they perceive. Quick, erratic movements often induce tension in a room, while calm, measured motion tends to slow and steady the social atmosphere. Leaders, speakers, and those who hold authority naturally slow their movements, not by effort, but because inner confidence dictates rhythm. Mimicking this pattern intentionally produces the same magnetic effect in daily interaction. Practical daily exercises can embed the habit further. Begin by identifying 3 activities where speed dominates: walking down a hallway, pouring coffee, or moving to answer a phone. For each, perform the action deliberately slower than usual, observing both physical sensation and mental response. Track the ease of maintaining control and adjust duration gradually. Next, pair these movements with slow, intentional breathing to reinforce relaxation. Over days and weeks, the coordination of breath and motion becomes habitual, creating a natural aura of calm authority. Emotional regulation enhances the effect of deliberate movement. Stress often triggers rushed movements, which broadcast anxiety even when words are measured. By recognizing stress triggers and responding with slower, intentional motions, internal tension is mirrored externally. For instance, before responding to criticism or conflict, pause, breathe, and allow gestures to unfold at a controlled pace. This communicates resilience, reduces perceived defensiveness, and conveys a magnetic calm. Practicing these patterns in minor daily challenges equips the individual for high-stakes situations, creating a reliable, composed presence under pressure. Slower motion also encourages mindful observation. Moving at a measured pace creates space for sensory awareness, the texture of surfaces, ambient sounds, temperature, and visual. This enhanced perception strengthens situational awareness and fosters deeper connection with the environment and people. The act of slowing down externally influences thought processes internally. Decisions become more deliberate, reactions less impulsive, and awareness of subtle social cues increases. Confidence grows as mastery over both body and mind is reinforced. The long-term benefits of moving slower extend beyond appearances. It develops patience, presence, and intentionality in all facets of life. Social interactions become more impactful because each gesture carries weight. Professional meetings benefit as authority is signaled through calm movement and deliberate pacing. Personal relationships thrive because attentiveness is felt physically as well as emotional. Moving slower is not merely a tactic. It becomes a lifestyle choice that consistently communicates competence, calmness, and self-possession. To practice, select one daily activity and deliberately slow it by 20%. Notice the internal state and the response of others. Pair this with conscious breathing and calm facial expressions. Gradually expand to multiple activities, walking, speaking, gesturing, handling objects, and responding in conversation. Over time, these incremental adjustments compound into a visible transformation. The subtlety of the change is part of its power. It is quiet, steady, and compelling. Confidence is no longer proclaimed but demonstrated with every step, motion, and gesture. Mastering deliberate pacing requires patience. At first, moving slower can feel unnatural or even awkward, particularly in fast-paced environments. The body and mind resist change because the default rhythm is ingrained. Persistence is essential. Repetition, conscious practice, and reflection solidify the new pattern. Journaling experiences, noting shifts in energy, attention, and influence, accelerates learning. Each deliberate movement reinforces inner authority and outward magnetism. Over weeks and months, slow motion becomes an unconscious expression of confidence, influencing every interaction and leaving a lasting impression of calm competence. Moving slower cultivates an unspoken authority that is unmistakable. It signals self-possession, thoughtful presence, and mastery over impulsivity. Every gesture, step, and breath communicates control. The practice of slowing down transforms ordinary actions into deliberate expressions of strength. Others are drawn not by noise, but by the quiet assurance of someone who acts with purpose. Confidence, discipline, and calm presence merge into a magnetic energy that does not demand attention yet commands it. In the subtle art of slow movement lies a profound expression of silent attractiveness, a force that grows stronger with conscious, consistent practice. Number 4. Listen deeply before saying anything. Listening is far more than simply hearing words. True listening is an act of presence, a deliberate focus on understanding before responding. It is one of the most underrated skills in human interaction, yet it carries immense power. When someone speaks and you listen deeply, your attention communicates value, respect, and empathy. The impact of this is subtle but profound. People feel seen, understood, and appreciated, which naturally makes you more socially attractive. Listening deeply is not passive. It requires intention, patience, and the discipline to hold back the reflex to respond immediately. The act itself becomes a form of silent authority, demonstrating control over impulses and clarity of mind. The foundation of deep listening starts with full presence. Most people listen partially, filtering what is said through personal biases, assumptions, or internal dialogue. To listen deeply, the mind must focus entirely on the speaker. This requires silencing the inner commentary and observing not only the words but also tone, pace, and underlying emotions. Paying attention to subtle shifts in voice and expression reveals more than the literal content. A pause, a sigh, a change in pitch can communicate hesitation, excitement, or concern. Awareness of these cues allows a response that addresses both the explicit and implicit message, creating connection on a deeper level. Physical alignment reinforces listening, orienting the body toward the speaker, maintaining open posture, and keeping eye contact signals engagement. Small gestures such as a subtle nod or a thoughtful tilt of the head show attentiveness. Avoid fidgeting, looking away frequently, or checking a phone, as these break the unspoken contract of presence. Deep listening is as much about what you do with your body as it is about processing words. The energy of your attention communicates more than your own speech ever could. People are naturally drawn to those who embody this focused, steady presence because it creates a sense of safety and respect. Breathing supports mental clarity during listening. Rapid or shallow breathing is often tied to anxiety or impatience, which can disrupt concentration. Slow, steady breaths help maintain calm and alertness, allowing the mind to absorb the nuances of speech without distraction. Breathing consciously also gives the speaker a sense of rhythmic engagement. It signals patience, creating space for pauses and reflection, which encourages more authentic communication. Over time, integrating controlled breathing into interactions becomes automatic, enabling sustained focus without fatigue. Resisting the urge to respond immediately is central to deep listening. Most conversations are filled with interruptions, premature judgments, and reflexive advice. Listening deeply demands restraint, giving the speaker full permission to finish thoughts before formulating a reply. This does not mean silent passivity. It means active engagement without verbal intrusion. Mentally summarizing key points, noting emotional undertones, and observing body language while the other person speaks cultivates a heightened understanding. The result is a response that is thoughtful, relevant, and impactful. Empathy is the bridge that transforms listening into connection. Understanding the emotional context behind words allows responses to resonate on a deeper level. This requires putting personal assumptions aside and considering the speaker's perspective fully. Ask internally, what does this person truly feel? What are they attempting to convey beyond the surface? Even when disagreement exists, acknowledging the emotional content before presenting a contrasting viewpoint strengthens. Deep listening communicates respect for the person's experience and validates their perspective without surrendering your own stance. Questions enhance listening when used purposefully. Instead of reacting immediately, thoughtful questions invite elaboration and demonstrate comprehension. These are not filler questions, but precise, reflective ones. Phrases like, "Can you tell me more about that?" or "How did that feel for you?" show that attention is active and focused. The timing of questions is crucial. They should follow completion of a thought, not interrupt. Skillful questioning deepens understanding, encourages openness, and conveys patience, which is inherently attractive in social interaction. Practicing silence strengthens the ability to listen deeply. Many people rush to fill conversational gaps with commentary, advice, or anecdote. Allowing silence, even a few seconds, can have a powerful effect. It gives the speaker space to expand, encourages self-reflection, and signals that the listener is not hurried. Silence is also a moment for internal processing, absorbing the full meaning of what has been said, connecting it to context, and preparing a response that is deliberate and considerate. Mastering this pause requires patience, but is invaluable for building influence and credibility. Attention to microexpressions adds layers to listening. The speaker's eyes, subtle shifts in posture, and changes in facial tension provide clues to underlying emotion. Observing these signs enables a response that addresses the whole message, not just the words. Over time, the practice develops an intuitive sense of what is being communicated beneath the surface. This perceptiveness enhances relationships, allowing interactions to move beyond superficial exchanges and into meaningful dialogue. Deep listening transforms ordinary conversations into a space where authenticity and understanding flourish. Daily exercises solidify listening skills. Begin with focused interactions in low-stakes settings. Practice observing without interrupting, noting verbal content, tone, and physical cues. Reflect after the conversation. What did you notice that you normally miss? How did withholding immediate response change the dynamic? Gradually apply these techniques to more challenging interactions, such as conflicts or negotiations, where listening can diffuse tension and elevate respect. Consistent practice builds mental endurance and increases comfort with prolonged engagement, further enhancing presence and attraction. Internal discipline complements external practice. The mind naturally wants to interject with judgments, interpretations, or personal anecdotes. Developing the mental habit of letting these impulses pass without acting on them strengthens focus. Visualization techniques help. Imagine a conversation as a river flowing, where words and gestures pass by and are observed without immediate interception. This creates a buffer between perception and reaction, allowing responses to emerge from comprehension rather than reflex. Deep listening is a form of self-mastery that integrates mental restraint with empathetic engagement. The timing of responses matters profoundly. Speaking too quickly after someone finishes can feel rushed or dismissive. Pausing deliberately for a few moments, processing information, and then responding conveys thoughtfulness. Responses shaped in this way are measured, meaningful, and weighted with credibility. They demonstrate that your attention and understanding are not superficial but cultivated and intentional. This kind of communication fosters respect, trust, and a magnetic social presence that draws others naturally. Active listening cultivates patience and humility. It requires acknowledging that the speaker has something to offer and that their words deserve full attention. This mindset shifts interactions from performance-based exchanges to collaborative understanding. By prioritizing comprehension over reaction, the listener demonstrates confidence and stability. Others sense this calm authority and are drawn to it because it reflects mastery over impulsive tendencies. Deep listening becomes both a social tool and a personal practice of discipline. Integrating deep listening into everyday life builds layered benefits. Benefits. Relationships strengthen because people feel truly valued. Social interactions become richer because understanding precedes judgment. Professional communication improves because measured responses create clarity and credibility. Emotional intelligence grows because the mind learns to identify and navigate subtle cues consistently. Each interaction becomes a training ground for cultivating patience, empathy, and poise. Over time, the habit of listening deeply produces a magnetic presence rooted in genuine understanding rather than performative charm. Starting the practice requires immediate action. Choose one conversation today where the intent is to listen fully before responding. Focus on the words, the emotions behind them, and the physical cues. Resist the urge to interject, interrupt, or offer advice prematurely. Observe the speaker's reactions and note how the dynamic changes. Reflect afterward on what was learned about both the speaker and yourself. By repeating this process daily, the ability to listen deeply becomes an instinctive aspect of communication, enhancing both personal and social influence. Listening deeply before speaking transforms ordinary interaction into an art of connection. It requires discipline, patience, and conscious awareness, yet rewards the practitioner with influence, empathy, and silent authority. The habit reshapes relationships, elevates social presence, and cultivates a sense of personal mastery. Each deliberate act of attention reinforces inner calm, strengthens perception, and builds trust. In a world of hurried speech and reactive conversation, those who listen first and speak later naturally stand out. Mastery of deep listening is not just a skill, it is a lifestyle of presence, understanding, and quiet confidence. Number 5. Keep posture open and steady. Posture is one of the most immediate indicators of confidence and self-assurance. Yet it is often overlooked. An open and steady posture communicates stability, presence, and calm authority without a single word. The way someone positions their body influences how others perceive them, how they move through spaces, and even how they feel internally. It is not simply about standing tall, it is about aligning the body in a way that signals readiness, balance, and openness. Every interaction is subtly affected by posture because the body speaks before the mouth does, and an open, grounded stance naturally attracts attention and respect. The first step in mastering posture is awareness. Most people adopt habits unconsciously, slouching in chairs, rounding shoulders, tucking the chin, or crossing arms defensively. These habits shrink perceived presence and convey hesitation or insecurity. Begin by observing your default stance in different settings, at work, at home, and in social environments. Notice how you distribute weight on your feet, the alignment of your spine, and the tension in your shoulders and neck. Awareness alone is transformative because it illuminates patterns that can be consciously adjusted. Grounding the body is essential for steady posture. Feeling the connection of your feet to the floor establishes balance and stability. Stand with feet hip-width apart, weight evenly distributed, and knees relaxed, not locked. This foundation allows the rest of the body to align naturally without strain. When sitting, keep feet planted on the floor rather than crossed or dangling, and maintain a subtle engagement of the core muscles. These adjustments support a posture that communicates assurance and reduces fatigue. The body responds to gravity and pressure cues, and anchoring yourself physically promotes a sense of internal calm that others sense intuitively. Opening the chest and shoulders is crucial to conveying confidence. Rounded shoulders and collapsed chest shrink presence and create a defensive impression. Drawing the shoulders back slightly, lifting the chest without exaggeration, and relaxing the arms by the sides or on a surface naturally enhances perceived authority. The neck should remain aligned, chin parallel to the ground, allowing the head to rest comfortably atop the spine. This alignment communicates readiness, composure, and poise. Even subtle slumping can undermine perceived credibility, so small, consistent adjustments make a substantial difference. Steady posture is enhanced through breath awareness. Deep, even breathing expands the chest and maintains spinal alignment. Shallow, rapid breathing tends to collapse the body and signals tension. Incorporate slow, controlled breaths to reinforce steadiness. Inhale fully into the diaphragm, hold briefly, and exhale completely. Each breath anchors the body, promotes relaxation, and strengthens presence. Over time, breathing and posture become integrated habits, allowing confidence to manifest naturally in both movement and stillness. Hand and arm positioning further communicate openness. Crossing arms or clenching fists creates barriers and signals defensiveness or discomfort. Allow the arms to rest naturally, either at the sides, lightly folded, or engaged in subtle gestures during conversation. Hands that are visible and relaxed convey honesty and approachability. Small adjustments such as loosening the grip on objects or gently opening the palms when speaking reinforce an impression of accessibility and controlled confidence. These micro-movements add nuance to posture that words alone cannot convey. Facial alignment is equally important. The head should neither tilt too far down nor project upward excessively. A level head communicates calm attentiveness, and subtle micro-expressions enhance perception. A relaxed jaw, slight smile, or neutral expression aligned with eye contact complements the physical posture, creating coherence between body and face. When gestures, head positioning, and facial expression work together, the overall presence becomes compelling without effort, allowing interactions to flow naturally. Movement within posture is also critical. Even when standing or sitting, small controlled motions, shifting weight, adjusting arms, or subtly leaning forward signal engagement and responsiveness. Avoid abrupt, jerky movements that suggest nervousness or impatience. Controlled motion reinforces the impression of confidence and steadiness. Practicing this involves slow, deliberate transitions between positions and maintaining awareness of balance and alignment. Over time, these movements feel natural and become part of an embodied language of poise. Posture affects not only perception but also internal experience. Adopting an open and steady stance triggers neurological changes associated with confidence and alertness. The body influences the mind as much as the mind directs the body. Upright, open posture increases focus, improves mood, and enhances energy levels. The simple act of standing or sitting in alignment can alter internal states, reducing stress and promoting clarity. This internal shift reinforces outward perception, creating a feedback loop of calm authority and self-assurance. Practicing posture in everyday scenarios strengthens habit formation. Start with low-stakes situations, walking through a hallway, greeting colleagues, or standing in line. Consciously align feet, engage core muscles, relax shoulders, and maintain a level head. As this becomes comfortable, extend practice to more social and professional environments. The habit of consistently holding steady posture increases visibility, respect, and perceived confidence without conscious effort. Small, repeated actions create lasting physical habits that support social magnetism. Observation of others enhances learning. Watch individuals who naturally exude confidence and note how they carry themselves. Pay attention to the spacing of their feet, the relaxation of their shoulders, the alignment of their head, and the use of their hands. Mimicking these patterns consciously, then internalizing them, accelerates development. Importantly, posture is not about imitation, but about understanding principles and integrating them authentically into one's own body language. Integration of posture with other silent signals multiplies effectiveness. Eye contact, breathing, and controlled gestures combine with an open stance to produce a holistic presence. The synergy of these elements creates an aura of calm authority that draws attention without force. People are naturally responsive to this embodied confidence because it signals reliability, composure, and competence. Each interaction benefits from the coherence between posture, gaze, gesture, and voice, producing a consistent impression of grounded magnetism. Daily exercises reinforce these principles. Standing in front of a mirror, practice aligning the spine, opening the chest, and relaxing shoulders. Walk slowly while maintaining balance and upright posture, noting how the body feels. Sit with feet planted, back straight, and hands visible, practicing micro adjustments to maintain comfort and openness. Record observations of how others respond to these postural changes. Over time, these practices embed stability, openness, and subtle influence into habitual presence. The psychological impact of posture cannot be overstated. An open and steady body communicates authority without aggression, calmness without detachment, and engagement without intrusion. Conversely, closed, slouched, or unsteady posture signals insecurity, defensiveness, or distraction. Mastery of posture is therefore a tool for both personal confidence and social influence. When posture is consistent and authentic, it supports verbal communication and enhances perceived credibility in any environment. Situational adaptability strengthens posture mastery. In group interactions, slightly widening the stance conveys openness and attentiveness. In one-on-one settings, subtle lean-ins signal interest and engagement. Adjusting posture to context, while maintaining overall steadiness, demonstrates social awareness and control. The ability to modulate stance without compromising alignment is a mark of refined presence and strategic awareness. Reflection and feedback are key to long-term improvement. After interactions, recall body positioning, alignment, and ease of movement. Identify areas of tension, slouch, or defensive gesturing, and develop small corrective strategies for future situations. Journaling observations and tracking progress embeds learning cognitively and physically. Self-assessment enhances awareness, leading to more fluid, confident presence in all social and professional settings. Open and steady posture is an essential element of silent attractiveness. It communicates mastery over one's body and environment, conveys respect for oneself and others, and anchors presence in a way that words alone cannot achieve. The combination of grounded feet, aligned spine, relaxed shoulders, controlled gestures, and facial coherence forms a consistent signal of confidence and approachability. Each deliberate adjustment reinforces internal calm, external perception, and social influence. Through persistent practice, posture becomes second nature, silently conveying strength, openness, and composure to every person and situation encountered. Number 6. Use brief words. Strong presence. Words are powerful, but their impact is amplified when used sparingly. Brevity in speech commands attention because it signals confidence and clarity. People instinctively respond to those who do not waste language on unnecessary details, filler words, or meandering explanations. Using brief words does not mean limiting expression. It means choosing precision over volume, quality over quantity, and weight over noise. A person who speaks concisely projects self-assurance and draws listeners in, creating a strong presence that is both magnetic and authoritative. Every word matters, and the silence between words becomes as meaningful as the speech itself. The foundation of brief, strong speech begins with internal clarity. Before speaking, know what you intend to convey and why. A mind cluttered with uncertainty produces rambling, tentative language that undermines credibility. Organize thoughts internally first. Ask, what is the essential point? What is the most effective way to communicate it? The process of distilling thoughts before speaking ensures that every word carries purpose, avoiding dilution through repetition or over-explanation. This mental preparation is a silent signal of composure that is reflected in voice and body language. The next principle is eliminating filler words. Phrases like, like, or basically weaken authority. They are crutches for uncertainty and dilute the impact of what is being said. Notice when these words creep into speech and intentionally replace them with silence or a slight pause. Pausing briefly to gather the next thought communicates confidence and control far more than hastily inserting words to fill space. Listeners perceive those who embrace measured pauses as thoughtful and authoritative, which enhances presence naturally. Concise vocabulary enhances precision. Choose words that accurately reflect meaning without adding unnecessary elaboration. Instead of saying, I was kind of thinking about possibly trying this, say, I will do this. Strong presence is built when statements are clear, direct, and unambiguous. The listener does not have to decode intent or navigate hedging language. Precision in speech conveys decisiveness, which is inherently attractive because it signals competence and self-possession. Practicing this requires awareness of common speech habits and deliberate substitution with stronger alternatives. Tone and pacing amplify the effect of brief words. Speaking too quickly diminishes the perceived weight of language. Speaking too slowly may create discomfort or appear unnatural. Aim for a steady, deliberate cadence, pausing slightly between key phrases. This creates rhythm, enhances comprehension, and allows the listener to absorb each point fully. Tone should convey calm authority rather than aggression or uncertainty. Even brief words gain resonance when delivered with measured emphasis, modulated volume, and controlled articulation. Active listening complements concise speech. Strong presence arises not only from what is said, but also from how attentively one engages with others' words. Listening fully before responding allows speech to be targeted, relevant, and meaningful. Responses that address the core of the conversation, rather than tangential points, signal intelligence and attentiveness. They demonstrate that the speaker values substance over noise and respects the listener's time and attention. This synergy between listening and speaking strengthens social influence without relying on verbosity. Nonverbal cues reinforce the power of brief speech. Posture, eye contact, and subtle gestures amplify the weight of words. A statement delivered with relaxed shoulders, steady eye contact, and controlled gestures carries more authority than the same words spoken in a slouched or distracted manner. The alignment of verbal and physical presence creates coherence, which enhances credibility. Strong presence is thus not solely a verbal skill. It is a combination of concise language and embodied confidence that communicates competence and composure simultaneously. Practice exercises cultivate this ability. Begin by summarizing daily experiences in 1 or 2 sentences. Observe how essential points can be communicated clearly without embellishment. Next, rehearse responses to common conversational scenarios, deliberately reducing word count while maintaining meaning. Record yourself speaking and review for unnecessary words, unclear phrasing, or rushed delivery. Incremental practice strengthens clarity, internalizes brevity, and develops an instinct for strong, impactful language that commands attention without forcing it. Storytelling and examples can be distilled effectively. Instead of lengthy anecdotes, focus on pivotal details that convey meaning efficiently. Identify the core of each story and eliminate tangential elements. This approach keeps the audience engaged, maintains credibility, and ensures the narrative reinforces the point rather than distracting from it. Even complex concepts can be expressed concisely if distilled to their essential truth. The skill lies in balancing clarity, brevity, and resonance, producing communication that is both memorable and persuasive. Emotional resonance can coexist with concise speech. Words chosen deliberately can convey warmth, empathy, and understanding without verbosity. For instance, instead of explaining why someone's actions upset you in multiple sentences, a simple statement such as, "That hurt me," communicates both the fact and the emotion clearly. This clarity enhances authenticity and fosters trust, because listeners receive an unambiguous signal of intent and feeling. Brevity amplifies sincerity as it leaves no room for confusion or misinterpretation. Strategic use of silence enhances impact. Pausing before or after key statements creates weight. It allows the listener to process the information and emphasizes the significance of what is said. Silence communicates reflection, patience, and authority. When combined with brief, precise language, it produces a rhythm in conversation that is compelling and magnetic. Mastering the interplay between words and silence transforms ordinary dialogue into a display of presence and self-assurance. Decision-making and leadership benefit from this skill. Leaders who communicate in concise, strong terms reduce misinterpretation and inspire confidence. Statements that are clear and direct prevent unnecessary debate and convey decisiveness. Subordinates and peers respond instinctively to individuals whose words carry authority and purpose. This dynamic is not about dominating conversation. It is about demonstrating clarity of thought and reliability, which naturally draws respect and influence. Strong presence becomes synonymous with trustworthiness. Internal discipline supports effective brevity. Thoughts must be organized before expression. Mental clarity allows one to select words with precision, resisting the impulse to fill gaps with uncertain. Journaling, summarization exercises, and reflective observation sharpen the ability to distill complex ideas into concise language. Over time, this discipline becomes instinctive, and speech evolves into an efficient, powerful instrument that communicates competence effortlessly. The mind and body work in tandem to project clarity and confidence. Adapting language to context strengthens presence. Formal, professional, and casual settings each demand different degrees of precision and brevity. Being attuned to the audience ensures words are impactful and appropriately measured. Adjusting phrasing, tone, and word choice without increasing volume or complexity demonstrates social intelligence and heightens the effect of concise communication. Presence emerges naturally when speech is tailored effectively, while remaining succinct. Daily reflection reinforces mastery. After each conversation, consider which words were necessary, which were extraneous, and how presence was perceived. Identify moments when brevity strengthened authority, and instances where additional clarity might have been beneficial. This ongoing evaluation accelerates skill development and refines instinctive judgment about language use. Over time, the combination of short, deliberate words and a grounded presence becomes habitual, producing a consistently magnetic and authoritative demeanor. Using brief words with strong presence transforms communication from ordinary to extraordinary. It projects confidence, clarity, and authority without relying on volume or complexity. Each word becomes intentional, and the pauses between them gain significance. Listeners are drawn to the efficiency, authenticity, and decisiveness conveyed in concise language. When paired with steady posture, controlled gestures, and measured pacing, brief words create a holistic presence that commands attention, builds trust, and exudes silent magnetism. Mastery of this principle is not only a tool for influence, but a lifestyle of clarity, purpose, and understated power. Number 7. Protect privacy. Reveal details slowly. Personal boundaries are the foundation of silent attractiveness, and protecting privacy is an essential part of this practice. How much of yourself you reveal and when you reveal it carries more influence than most realize. Those who share too quickly or overshare often dilute their presence and weaken the sense of mystery that draws others in. Conversely, individuals who manage personal disclosure carefully command attention effortlessly. Revealing details slowly does not mean secrecy for the sake of hiding, but rather intentional control over the pace and depth of personal information shared. It signals confidence, self-respect, and mastery over emotional impulses, while also creating curiosity and engagement in social interaction. The first step in protecting privacy is understanding what is personal versus what is public. Personal information includes emotional vulnerabilities, past experiences, aspirations, and intimate thoughts. Public information encompasses casual facts about daily life, general opinions, and surface-level experiences. Knowing the distinction allows for selective sharing. The goal is to provide enough detail to connect authentically without revealing so much that the other person gains the upper hand or loses interest. This careful balance maintains both approachability and intrigue, which is the essence of silent attractiveness. Self-awareness is critical in this process. Many people unconsciously reveal information in response to social pressure, anxiety, or the need for approval. Becoming mindful of these impulses allows for deliberate control over what is shared. Pause before responding to questions about personal matters. Evaluate whether the information is necessary, relevant, or beneficial to share at that moment. This pause helps prevent overexposure and reinforces a composed presence. By controlling the flow of personal details, individuals communicate self-possession and discipline, traits that are inherently magnetic to others. Revealing details slowly is as much about timing as it is about content. Early in relationships, whether social, professional, or romantic, limited disclosure allows others to earn information gradually. This creates a natural rhythm of interaction and builds anticipation. Small pieces of information shared over time demonstrate trust being earned, not demanded. Each reveal becomes a subtle reward for attentiveness, patience, and engagement, reinforcing positive social dynamics. In contrast, divulging too much too quickly can overwhelm, create discomfort, or even diminish perceived competence and composure. Observation of social cues informs the pace of disclosure. People respond differently depending on their personality, relationship to you, and the context of the conversation. Notice how others engage, the questions they ask, and the level of interest they demonstrate. These signals guide what, how, and when to share. Responding to cues rather than assuming receptiveness ensures that disclosure feels natural and controlled. It avoids the pitfalls of oversharing while cultivating a reputation for being measured, thoughtful, and intriguing. Language and phrasing play a crucial role in managing personal information. Instead of offering full narratives immediately, provide concise, controlled statements. For example, rather than detailing an entire personal history, summarize briefly, leaving room for curiosity and future dialogue. Strategic pauses, selective phrasing, and the use of subtle hints invite questions without forcing disclosure. This method not only protects privacy, but also enhances perceived depth, suggesting a rich inner world without exposing all its contents at once. Consistency in guarding personal boundaries strengthens the effect. If privacy is protected only intermittently, mixed signals can confuse or frustrate others. Steady practice reinforces internal discipline and signals reliability externally. People naturally respect those who exhibit consistency in managing what they share. It communicates maturity, self-control, and intentionality, which are core components of silent attractiveness. Over time, consistent, measured disclosure fosters trust and positions the individual as someone worth engaging with carefully and meaningfully. Emotional regulation is also essential. Sharing too much often stems from heightened emotions, such as excitement, stress, or the desire for validation. Learning to pause, reflect, and manage emotional impulses before disclosing information ensures that what is shared aligns with personal intentions. Emotional control reinforces composure and credibility. When information is revealed thoughtfully, rather than reactively, it becomes a tool of influence rather than a source of vulnerability. Practical exercises enhance mastery of selective disclosure. Begin by identifying areas of your life that are most personal, and consider which aspects are safe to share publicly, socially, or professionally. Practice summarizing personal experiences in 1 or 2 sentences rather than full accounts. Observe how listeners respond and adjust the pace of subsequent disclosures accordingly. Journaling reflections after social interactions helps track patterns of oversharing or hesitation, providing insight into areas for improvement. Nonverbal communication complements verbal discretion. Body language, facial expressions, and eye contact can communicate openness without verbal overexposure. For instance, maintaining steady posture, calm gestures, and composed expressions conveys confidence while retaining a sense of mystery. Small cues such as a knowing smile or subtle nod reinforce presence and engagement without necessitating immediate verbal disclosure. The combination of controlled language and deliberate nonverbal behavior strengthens the impression of a person who is confident, intriguing, and self-contained. Strategically sharing achievements or experiences enhances credibility without oversharing. Highlight accomplishments or insights, succinctly emphasizing impact rather than exhaustive detail. For example, instead of narrating an entire project's timeline, focus on key outcomes and learnings. This method demonstrates competence, focus, and self-assurance. Others perceive such individuals as capable and disciplined, qualities that enhance attraction while maintaining privacy. Patience and disclosure cultivates trust, allowing conversations to develop naturally over time. Revealing personal stories in stages creates stronger relational bonds. Each detail shared intentionally fosters connection without sacrificing dignity or control. Those who rush disclosure risk diminishing respect or creating dependence, whereas measured sharing positions the individual as composed and discerning. Patience signals self-respect and invites others to approach with equal consideration. Awareness of digital communication is equally important. Online interactions often prompt rapid, uncontrolled sharing. Exercise discretion in messages, social media posts, and digital conversation. Deliberate minimal sharing online mirrors the control exercised in face-to-face interactions and reinforces the perception of integrity and measured presence. Digital privacy management directly contributes to the aura of composed, silent, attractive. Reflection enhances selective disclosure over time. After meaningful interactions, consider which details were shared, how they were received, and how the conversation might have been shaped differently. This reflection sharpens judgment, allowing for more precise control in future situations. Self-assessment ensures that personal information is always leveraged strategically, fostering social influence while protecting emotional and psychological boundaries. The psychological impact of protecting privacy is profound. When an individual guards personal information carefully, it communicates inner strength, confidence, and discipline. Others interpret discretion as an indicator of reliability, self-possession, and maturity. Slow, measured revelation cultivates curiosity and engagement, inviting deeper connections built on respect rather than oversharing. This dynamic generates a natural magnetism that is compelling without being forceful. Over time, protecting privacy and revealing details slowly becomes an integral aspect of presence. It strengthens emotional resilience, enhances relational influence, and communicates competence and poise. Every interaction is enriched by the balance of openness and restraint. The individual becomes someone whose words and actions carry intentional weight, whose presence is intriguing, and whose social influence is quietly commanding. Through disciplined practice, the art of selective disclosure evolves into a lifestyle that merges confidence, respect, and allure. By consistently managing personal information and pacing disclosure, social interactions transform. People engage more attentively, trust is built incrementally, and relationships deepen organically. Protecting privacy and revealing details slowly is not about secrecy but about mastery. Mastery of self, presence, and social influence. It positions the individual as composed, thoughtful, and magnetic, creating a lasting impression that is subtle, powerful, and enduring. Number 8. Show kindness through small actions. Kindness is a quiet power that speaks volumes without demanding attention. The way it is expressed, especially through small, deliberate actions, builds social attractiveness, fosters trust, and strengthens connections. Grand gestures may impress momentarily, but consistent, subtle kindness leaves a lasting impression. Small acts are approachable, believable, and deeply human. They reveal awareness, empathy, and the ability to respond thoughtfully to the needs of others. Showing kindness does not require wealth, influence, or recognition. It requires attentiveness, intention, and a willingness to act without expectation. The first step in cultivating small acts of kindness is awareness. Observe your environment and the people around you. Notice when someone seems tired, stressed, or overlooked. Acknowledge subtle cues, a sigh, a dropped item, a quiet voice, or a hesitant glance. Kindness begins with noticing what others might need, even before they articulate it. These observations inform actions that are thoughtful rather than performative. Paying attention trains both perception and sensitivity, allowing small, meaningful gestures to occur naturally. Consistency amplifies the impact of small acts. Random acts of kindness are valuable, but habitual consideration communicates reliability and emotional intelligence. Offering a smile to a passerby, holding a door, or complimenting someone sincerely establishes a pattern of thoughtfulness. Over time, these small gestures shape perception, signaling that the individual is attentive, grounded, and socially aware. People respond positively to consistency because it reflects a steady character, enhancing silent attractiveness. Empathy is central to meaningful kindness. Small actions gain significance when they address real needs or alleviate discomfort. Simple examples include offering to help carry items, asking if someone needs assistance, or sharing resources like information, food, or support. Thoughtfulness, not extravagance, defines these actions. The focus is on impact rather than recognition, which ensures that kindness remains authentic. The effect is compounded when these acts are integrated seamlessly into daily routines, rather than reserved for exceptional occasions. Timing is critical. The effectiveness of small gestures increases when they occur in context, at a moment when they can truly benefit someone. Helping a colleague during a busy moment, providing encouragement when someone is uncertain, or offering quiet support when someone feels unseen demonstrates emotional intelligence and attentiveness. Timing amplifies the subtlety of kindness because it reflects both awareness and responsiveness, making the act feel intentional rather than incidental. Nonverbal expressions enhance small acts of kindness. Body language, tone, and facial expression communicate sincerity. A gentle nod, a calm tone of voice, or maintaining eye contact while listening can make the simplest words or actions feel meaningful. Small gestures such as passing an item with attentiveness, opening a door, or making space for someone physically communicate consideration without overt announcement. These micro-actions build a sense of warmth, respect, and approachability that enhances personal presence. Active listening complements small acts of kindness. Being fully present when someone speaks is an understated way to show care. Listening attentively, responding thoughtfully, and acknowledging feelings creates a sense of validation and empathy. This kind of engagement demonstrates that the person is valued beyond surface-level interactions. Small actions in this context include remembering details from prior conversations, following up on concerns, or simply allowing someone the time and space to express themselves fully. These seemingly minor efforts leave a disproportionate positive impact on relationships. Generosity of attention is as important as generosity of action. Offering undivided focus in a world dominated by distractions communicates respect and consideration. Simple gestures like putting a phone away during a conversation, leaning slightly forward, or pausing to acknowledge someone's presence signal engagement. People interpret these actions as genuine attentiveness, which fosters trust and strengthens social bonds. Small, consistent demonstrations of focus create a perception of presence and emotional availability. Kindness through small actions extends to inclusivity and consideration. Recognizing and including those who may feel overlooked demonstrates awareness and maturity. Examples include inviting someone to join a discussion, acknowledging contributions in group settings, or offering subtle encouragement to someone struggling with confidence. These small, deliberate efforts communicate respect and empathy, enhancing both social cohesion and personal attractiveness. Thoughtful attention to others' experiences builds rapport and demonstrates emotional depth. Self-discipline reinforces meaningful kindness. Acting thoughtfully rather than impulsively ensures that gestures are appropriate and beneficial. Reacting with impatience, sarcasm, or distraction undermines the positive impact of any act. Mindful awareness, emotional regulation, and intentional timing ensure that kindness is authentic rather than performative. Over time, these disciplined habits create a reputation of reliability, care, and consistency that others naturally gravitate toward. Small acts of kindness also build personal fulfillment. Helping others generates internal satisfaction, increases emotional resilience, and reinforces a sense of purpose. The reciprocity is often subtle. People respond positively to individuals who display consistent consideration, creating a cycle of mutual respect and connection. This internal reward further strengthens motivation to continue practicing kindness, transforming it from occasional behavior into a core element of character and social presence. Practical exercises support mastery of this habit. Begin by identifying 3 opportunities each day to perform a small act of kindness. These could include giving a genuine compliment, assisting someone with a task, or offering encouragement. Reflect on the impact of each action and the response it evokes. Over time, awareness increases, and these behaviors become natural expressions of consideration rather than deliberate effort. Tracking experiences helps identify patterns where kindness has the greatest effect, refining the practice further. Integration with social intuition amplifies the effects. Observing individual preferences, moods, and situational contexts ensures that kindness is received positively. Small acts tailored to the circumstances, like bringing an umbrella when rain is expected, noticing someone's favorite coffee, or remembering an important detail, demonstrate attentiveness and emotional intelligence. Personalized gestures communicate awareness and investment in relationships, which strengthens social bonds and enhances perceived attractiveness. Small acts of kindness foster resilience in social interactions. By offering consideration rather than seeking control, tension is reduced, trust is increased, and conflicts are mitigated. Subtle support in challenging situations communicates reliability and emotional balance. These micro-behaviors establish credibility without dominating attention, enhancing influence while preserving subtlety. Over time, they contribute to an overall aura of warmth, stability, and social authority. Authenticity underpins all effective kindness. Actions performed solely for recognition or advantage are transparent and diminish credibility. Genuine care, however, communicates integrity and moral strength. The impact of small, authentic gestures accumulates, creating a perception of reliability and depth. This authenticity makes individuals approachable yet commanding of respect, as others sense that the kindness comes from a rooted character rather than superficial intent. Incorporating kindness into routine behavior maximizes influence. Simple practices like holding doors, offering assistance, expressing gratitude, and acknowledging others' efforts build a steady foundation. These actions do not require grand scale but consistency. Over time, the accumulation of small, deliberate gestures transforms social perception, establishing an individual as empathetic, attentive, and approachable without compromising composure or authority. Reflection enhances the practice. Regularly consider how small actions affect others and what opportunities may have been missed. Reflect on timing, relevance, and the subtle cues of recipients. Learning from these observations refines future behavior, ensuring kindness is impactful rather than accidental. This self-awareness integrates kindness into a conscious lifestyle, reinforcing social influence and personal growth simultaneously. Small acts of kindness are a cornerstone of silent attractiveness because they demonstrate empathy, discipline, and presence. They convey respect, awareness, and emotional intelligence without overt declaration. By consistently observing, acting thoughtfully, and integrating subtle gestures into daily life, an individual creates a compelling presence that draws others naturally. These actions cultivate trust, deepen relationships, and generate a lasting impression of warmth and stability. Kindness becomes not only a social tool but an expression of character, silently communicating strength, reliability, and approachability in every interaction. Number 9. Maintain grooming without overdoing. Grooming is one of the most powerful silent signals of confidence and self-respect, and when done thoughtfully, it can dramatically enhance social attractiveness. Maintaining a well-groomed appearance demonstrates care, discipline, and awareness of how others perceive you without ever having to speak a word. The key is balance, showing attention to detail without tipping into overdone or artificial presentation. Subtle grooming signals sophistication, self-mastery, and an understanding that presentation is a reflection of internal discipline as much as external aesthetics. The first principle is consistency. Grooming should be a daily habit rather than a sporadic effort. Regular maintenance of hair, skin, nails, and clothing communicates reliability and attention to self. Inconsistency in grooming can send mixed signals. It suggests either negligence or overcompensation. By committing to regular routines, individuals establish a baseline of care that communicates competence and intentionality. Over time, the consistency of well-kept appearance fosters trust and enhances perception of personal stability. Simplicity is crucial. Subtle grooming choices often speak louder than bold or excessive modifications. Clean hair, neatly trimmed nails, and well-maintained skin provide signals of self-respect and order without drawing unnecessary attention. Overly styled hair, overpowering fragrances, or excessively flashy clothing can distract and diminish authenticity. The goal is a polished, understated look that feels natural, approachable, and aligned with personal style, Subtle elegance conveys confidence and mastery without effortful display. Attention to hygiene forms the foundation of grooming. Cleanliness in all areas from hair and skin to oral care ensures that physical presence is comfortable and appealing for those around you. Hygiene signals respect for self and others, as it demonstrates that you value interactions and the environments you occupy. Small routines, like consistent showering, maintaining fresh breath, and keeping clothes clean and pressed, produce a tangible impact on perception and contribute to a sense of personal pride. Clothing selection communicates subtle cues about confidence and self-awareness. Clothes should fit well, be appropriate for the context, and reflect personal style without exaggeration. Ill-fitting garments or over-accessorizing can reduce perceived competence or authenticity. Choosing pieces that complement body shape, color tone, and occasion demonstrates attentiveness and consideration. When garments are simple, clean, and intentional, they enhance presence without overwhelming it, allowing other elements, like posture and demeanor, to carry weight naturally. Grooming extends to small details that are often overlooked. Nail care, minimal yet deliberate use of accessories, and subtle coordination of colors create a polished impression. Minor adjustments, such as ensuring shoes are clean, collars are straight, or sleeves are neatly folded, add refinement to overall presence. These seemingly trivial details signal mindfulness and discipline, traits that are universally attractive and often subliminally processed by others. Consistency in these small actions reinforces a quiet authority and attention to self. Balance is essential when enhancing appearance. Overdoing grooming can communicate insecurity, vanity, or lack of authenticity. Excessive cosmetic products, heavy fragrances, or attention-seeking styling create a sense of performance rather than natural confidence. The goal is enhancement, not transformation. Thoughtful grooming emphasizes strengths, minimizes distractions, and presents the individual as composed and intentional. Subtlety signals sophistication because it communicates that self-care is intrinsic, not performed for validation. Grooming interacts with posture and movement to enhance overall presence. A clean, polished appearance loses impact if coupled with slouched posture, restless movements, or inattentive gestures. Maintaining alignment, calm gestures, and steady presence complements grooming and creates a cohesive image. Subtle grooming paired with composed body language communicates mastery over both appearance and behavior, reinforcing silent attractiveness in ways that are immediate yet understated. Practical habits reinforce effective grooming without excess. Set a routine that addresses essential areas: hair care, skin care, nail care, oral hygiene, and wardrobe maintenance. Incorporate small daily rituals, like checking for stray hairs, lightly moisturizing, or ironing garments as needed. Regular, deliberate routines reduce the need for last-minute overcompensation and create a seamless, polished presentation. Over time, these habits become effortless, producing consistency without conscious effort. Minimalism in grooming products enhances natural appeal. Rather than layering multiple fragrances, styling agents, or cosmetic enhancements, select a few high-quality essentials that support overall appearance without drawing overt attention. Simple, reliable products that maintain cleanliness, shine, or freshness achieve the desired effect without exaggeration. This approach communicates awareness and restraint, traits that increase perception of competence and self-possession. Subtle adaptability is important. Grooming should align with context, social norms, and environmental expectations. Casual settings call for relaxed, yet clean presentation, while professional environments require precise attention to detail. Adjusting grooming subtly to suit different situations without overdoing it demonstrates social intelligence and reinforces composure. Being contextually aware in presentation enhances credibility, approachability, and silent authority. Reflection strengthens mastery. Observe responses to appearance and presence across interactions, noting how subtle adjustments impact perception. Identify which routines contribute to confidence and which might lead to overcomplication. This reflection refines both habits and intuition, ensuring grooming remains effective, understated, and aligned with personal character. Awareness of the effects of grooming enhances social influence without verbal assertion. The psychological impact of grooming is profound. Attending to appearance reinforces self-esteem, discipline, and internal calm. Well-maintained presentation encourages individuals to carry themselves with steadiness, poise, and confidence. Small routines of grooming act as daily affirmations of self-respect, which in turn radiates outwardly through posture, expression, and interaction. The alignment of internal confidence with external presentation amplifies presence and influence. Maintaining grooming without overdoing also cultivates respect in social and professional contexts. People respond positively to those who appear composed, attentive, and approachable. Excessive embellishment can intimidate or alienate, whereas balanced grooming communicates readiness, reliability, and sophistication. Thoughtful presentation signals that the individual values their environment, interactions, and self, creating a subtle magnetism that draws attention without demanding it. Strategic grooming highlights strength, while remaining natural. Emphasize features that are inherently flattering, such as clean lines, coordinated colors, or symmetrical elements, without altering core appearance excessively. This approach enhances perception of composure and self-awareness. By focusing on subtle enhancements rather than dramatic transformation, grooming supports authentic presence, projecting confidence and refinement simultaneously. Daily practice reinforces effortless mastery. Review appearance before leaving home or entering social settings, correcting minor inconsistencies without obsessing over perfection. Repetition of these small routines builds familiarity, making well-groomed presence habitual. Consistency ensures that grooming becomes an integrated part of identity rather than a temporary effort, allowing social presence to emerge naturally and attractively. Maintaining grooming without overdoing is a cornerstone of silent attractiveness because it communicates self-respect, discipline, and awareness. Thoughtful attention to hygiene, clothing, minor details, and subtle enhancements creates a coherent, composed presence. The balance of care and restraint signals confidence, sophistication, and emotional maturity. Over time, consistent, understated grooming fosters trust, enhances social influence, and positions the individual as someone both approachable and authoritative. Subtle mastery of appearance is a reflection of internal discipline, silently communicating stability, competence, and magnetism in every interaction. Number 10. Set boundaries calmly yet firmly. Setting boundaries is one of the most essential skills for maintaining self-respect, mental clarity, and social influence. Boundaries are not walls. They are guidelines that communicate what is acceptable and what is not in interactions, relationships, and daily life. Establishing them calmly yet firmly signals strength, confidence, and self-awareness. People who set boundaries effectively gain respect naturally, preserve energy, and cultivate relationships that are healthy, reciprocal, and meaningful. The way boundaries are communicated without aggression, drama, or unnecessary justification determines their effectiveness and enhances silent attractiveness. The first step in setting boundaries is self-awareness. Understanding personal limits, values, and priorities creates a foundation for clear communication. Reflect on what you can tolerate emotionally, physically, and mentally, and identify behaviors or situations that compromise your well-being. Being honest with oneself allows for boundaries that are realistic, consistent, and sustainable. Without this clarity, boundaries may become reactive, inconsistent, or ineffective, eroding credibility and weakening influence over time. Calmness is central to boundary setting. Delivering limits with composure demonstrates control and maturity. Emotional outbursts or frustration dilute the authority of the message and invite resistance rather than respect. A calm tone, steady posture, and measured speech communicate confidence and certainty. The objective is not to intimidate, but to assert personal expectations clearly and without apology. Calmness signals that the boundary is a considered decision, not a momentary reaction, and it encourages others to respond with respect rather than defensive. Firmness is equally critical. Boundaries must be clear, unambiguous, and consistently enforced. Hesitation, vagueness, or repeated compromise undermines the message and encourages overstepping. Being firm does not mean aggression. It means conveying limits with clarity and resolve. Statements such as, "I am not available for this right now," or "I cannot accept that behavior," establish authority while maintaining composure. Firm boundaries protect personal energy, reinforce self-worth, and set expectations for how others engage with you. Clarity in communication enhances effectiveness. When expressing a boundary, use concise and specific language. Avoid vague terms, over-explaining, or justifying excessively. Clear statements are easier for others to understand, reducing confusion or misinterpretation. For example, instead of saying, "I don't really like it when things happen this way," one might say, "I cannot participate in conversations that involve yelling or personal attacks." Specificity ensures that boundaries are respected and reinforces a sense of certainty and confidence. Consistency reinforces credibility. Boundaries are only effective when consistently applied. If limits are enforced selectively, people may test them or assume flexibility where there is none. Consistency communicates seriousness and integrity, creating a predictable and secure environment for interactions. It also fosters self-respect, as repeated adherence to boundaries demonstrates discipline and commitment to personal value. Over time, others come to recognize the reliability of your expectations and respond accordingly. Nonverbal communication supports boundary setting. Body language, facial expression, and posture can reinforce verbal statements. Standing tall, maintaining eye contact, and keeping gestures controlled and purposeful signals assertiveness without aggression. Calm, firm body language complements words, creating a cohesive message that others perceive as deliberate and authoritative. Nonverbal cues often speak louder than words, allowing boundaries to be communicated subtly yet effectively in addition to explicit statement. Anticipating challenges strengthens boundary management. People may push back, test limits, or attempt manipulation. Preparing responses in advance allows for calm and measured reactions, rather than reactive or emotional responses. Simple, consistent statements, repeated as necessary, demonstrate resolve. The ability to uphold boundaries in the face of resistance signals resilience and fosters long-term respect. Over time, attempts to challenge boundaries diminish because the standard of firmness combined with calm delivery is clear and unwavering. Empathy enhances boundary setting. While boundaries protect personal well-being, they do not require dismissiveness or rudeness. Expressing understanding while maintaining limits communicates respect for the other person's perspective without compromising self-respect. For instance, "I understand you feel strongly about this, but I cannot engage in that conversation right now," acknowledges emotion while preserving control. Combining empathy with firmness promotes cooperative relationships rather than conflict, demonstrating emotional intelligence and social sophistication. Flexibility within limits is a subtle form of mastery. Boundaries are not rigid walls but guiding principles. Understanding when to allow minor exceptions or adjustments without compromising core values signals adaptability and wisdom. This balance prevents relationships from becoming overly rigid or transactional while ensuring personal integrity is maintained. The ability to discern when flexibility serves long-term goals versus when it undermines self-respect is a hallmark of disciplined, mature presence. Boundaries protect energy and focus. Allowing others to dictate time, attention, or emotional responses erodes productivity and well-being. Clear limits create space for priorities, personal growth, and meaningful interactions. People naturally respect those who manage their resources wisely, perceiving them as disciplined, organized, and self-possessed. This careful management enhances both social and effectiveness, demonstrating competence silently, without ostentation. Setting boundaries also models behavior for others. People observe and often mirror the standards demonstrated by those they respect. Calmly enforced limits inspire others to respect themselves and the space around them. This ripple effect strengthens environments, promoting healthier, more respectful dynamics. Boundaries, when communicated consistently and without drama, teach others how to engage responsibly, enhancing social cohesion while preserving individual integrity. Practical exercises solidify this skill. Begin by identifying areas where limits are frequently tested or neglected. Practice expressing boundaries in simple, clear terms, starting in low-stakes situations. Observe responses and adjust tone, clarity, or delivery as needed. Over time, practice in more challenging contexts builds confidence, ensuring that boundaries can be communicated effectively in any setting. Journaling reflections after interactions enhances awareness, helping refine approach and sustain consistency. Internal reflection reinforces authority. Evaluate how boundaries align with personal values, emotional needs, and long-term goals. Ensure that enforcement stems from self-respect rather than fear, guilt, or desire for approval. Internal alignment strengthens resolve and reduces anxiety associated with confrontation. When boundaries reflect authentic priorities, their enforcement is natural, calm, and authoritative. Subtle reinforcement strengthens long-term adherence. Nonverbal cues, consistent behavior, and measured repetition communicate firmness without escalating tension. Reinforcing limits quietly and calmly encourages compliance without conflict. People internalize these standards over time, understanding that boundaries are deliberate and non-negotiable, which strengthens trust and respect simultaneously. Boundaries contribute to social attractiveness because they communicate self-possession. Individuals who manage limits calmly and firmly are seen as strong, reliable, and disciplined. Their presence signals that they value themselves and expect others to do the same. This self-respect is magnetic, drawing admiration without requiring assertion, attention-seeking, or drama. Boundaries are, in essence, a framework for personal power, demonstrating that influence can coexist with empathy, respect, and poise. Through consistent practice, the skill of setting boundaries becomes instinctive. Calmly stating limits, reinforcing them with clarity and nonverbal cues, and exercising empathy while maintaining integrity creates a balanced, authoritative presence. People respond naturally to individuals who uphold their space without aggression or apology, fostering respect, trust, and silent influence. Boundaries are not barriers. They are expressions of self-mastery, discipline, and social intelligence that enhance every interaction, relationship, and environment in which they are applied. Mastery of calm yet firm boundaries ensures that personal energy, focus, and dignity remain intact. It elevates social interactions, strengthens relationships, and communicates silent authority. Each interaction reinforces a reputation for composure, reliability, and self-respect. Those who set boundaries thoughtfully navigate life with clarity, influence, and poise, creating an aura of confidence and competence that is both magnetic and enduring.